let's go back. Sorry, I'm hopping all over the place. But so you are living in Michigan, Clinton? No.
Mm-hmm. That's where I grew up.
Yeah. And you are working for Mr. Harris?
No.
No?
No, I was in Beeville, Texas.
Beeville, Texas.
Yeah. Graduated college, and I wanted to move south because
Yeah.
I didn't like cold. So we were married. We were married when I was before my junior year of college.
Mm-hmm.
2 years in college, and we said we want to move south.
Okay. So you're working for Mr. Harris?
Well, I first worked for a construction company where we would, about every year I would move. So we went from Michigan to Corpus Christi, the beach. Wonderful, just wonderful. And making $18,000 a year. So what are we gonna do with all this money? It's quite a while ago. So then we moved to Corsicana, had Brett. And then I decided I didn't want to move every year. So I went to work for George Harris in Beeville. And the plan was for me to buy the company from George. So.
And then what happened?
Well, we had a client come in from Dallas, a friend of George's, who said, George, I've got a project for you in Dallas. And George goes, why the hell would I want to do a project in Dallas? And I was thinking about buying the company, so I got up and interjected into the conversation. Kind of talked George into.
It's a very bold thing to do.
Well, if I'm going to have the company,
Yeah.
we need to do something to make money.
Yeah.
So did that, and that's when I met Isam. So you can see God's hands all over this because they came 450 miles to find an engineering company when they were doing business in Dallas. So, and we really didn't do the type of work they wanted us to do. But I said, we'll do it. So I talked George into letting me go up, meet Isam. And Isam and I hit it off. I was 28, he was 24. And we just hit it off. And got the contract, and George said, you want it? You do it. So he pretty much left me to do a subdivision that I had never done a subdivision.
What is your job?
I'm a civil engineer. So we designed that subdivision. And halfway through, right after I got that done, I started talking to George about moving on with buying the business. So I went into George and said, George, we've been talking about me buying the business. I've been here 5 years. Let's get serious about it now. He goes, oh, okay, let me talk to Clara.
George impression is my face.
Clara was our secretary and George's wife. So a week went by. I said, George, what did Clara have to say? Oh, I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. Another week goes by. Oh, holidays are coming, I can't get her pinned down. I said, well, George, let me make you an offer. So I made him an offer. And in the meantime, we were doing the project for Isam. And we got the project done. Everything went great. And George came to me and said, tell your client in Dallas, we don't want to do any more of their work. And this was about a year after I had made an offer and never heard anything from George about. I just said, yes, no, half of it now, just let's start a conversation. So George said, we don't want to do any more of that work in Dallas. So I told Isam. And Isam said, if you had your own business, I'd hire you. So I wanted to have my own business. I didn't know if I was ever gonna with George. So I said, yeah. So gave George my resignation. And about 3 months after that, the economy went to crap. This was in the mid 80s. And we probably would not have made it in Beeville if he'd accepted my offer. So I think God just zipped him up, wouldn't let him, because Lord knew what was going on. So we got started off with a project with Isam, and we still do their work today. That was in 85, 84. So, but what's come out of that is, we moved to Dallas, making more money than I ever dreamed I'd make. It's not huge, but I couldn't have written a better story. I wouldn't have. If I'd have wrote looking for words here. Looking for words. If we just sat down and wrote a story, it wouldn't be as big. But moving to Dallas, because we tried to get in adoption. This is when we were going through infertility. We tried to get into an adoption agency. Corpus was the closest place, and they were full. They didn't have any. There were no options down there. And we were kind of to the point where we wanted to get this adoption thing going. Mona had been working, suffering through it for 5-6 years. So we moved up to Dallas and immediately got in an adoption agency. And you know who was waiting for us. That's when we got Mal. So if I hadn't would have met Esau, we wouldn't be in Dallas. And then, like I was telling you, if we wouldn't have adopted Mal, I was totally against adoption. Totally. Nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with me. I'm a competitive person. We're going to make this happen. This is going to happen. And it never did. So, adopted Mal. And then, 6 months later, we're pregnant with Max. So, God just had to get Melly in our family. And if that adoption wouldn't have gone so good, seamless. It was absolutely wonderful. Loved Mal as much as Brett immediately. It's a God thing. And if we hadn't had such a good experience with adopting Mallory, I doubt we would have adopted Molly, and I sure wouldn't have adopted Drayton. Or we surely wouldn't have adopted Drayton, because that was way too much work. But it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And when you do what God wants you to do, it's not a big deal. It isn't. It's not a big deal. It's what you should do. Like with your guys' wedding, it was fabulous. And I think I said during that's the way they all should be. We're making a big deal how wonderful this is, and it was. It should be the norm. But our society's gotten so screwed up. It should be the norm. And what we do should be the norm. It's nothing special.
Yeah, and I think that's why it sadly is so special, because you both have always lived your lives so well and chosen the right things and the good things and the God things and always been obedient. And I think that's why you've had so much blessing, because you've always said yes and always just walked in that. And I've watched you parent my husband, and the both of you both love so well, and you have just always just been the best dad.
Well, if you're going to be a parent, you might as well do it good. You can do it crappy, you can do it good. It's going to take the same amount of time. So you might as well do it good and enjoy it. There were a lot of soccer games that we went to. We'd say, if we're going to go with joyful spirit, or we're not going to go. Go and enjoy the day. Don't complain that, oh my gosh, we got to go to soccer today. No, you go with a joyful spirit and you will have a joyful day.